True detachment is a powerful state. It means you have mastered your inner chemistry. A woman who is detached is not without love, she is full of it, but she is no longer enslaved by emotions, relationships, or identities. She has touched a space within herself that is not determined by the world around her. This is the true power of the feminine, not loud, not forceful, but deep, still, and transforming like the ocean. A detached woman is grace in motion. Her presence does not demand attention, yet it commands respect. She does not react, she responds. She is no longer seeking to fit into the molds society offers her. She has realized that her worth is not in her beauty, her roles, or even her achievements, but in the stillness she carries. This stillness is not passive, it is vibrant, alert, and fiercely compassionate. Such a woman does not need to fight for freedom. She is freedom. In the yogic culture, the feminine was never seen as weak. It was seen as Shakti, the fundamental force that moves all things. But for that force to work consciously, it must be rooted in awareness, not entanglement. When a woman becomes detached, she becomes aware. She sees through illusions, including those of love and pain, pleasure and sorrow. She can love without clinging. She can walk away without resentment. That is her strength. This is not a philosophy. This is an inner revolution. A detached woman is not breaking hearts. She is breaking cycles of dependence, of drama, of unconscious living. She lives not by social approval, but by inner alignment. And in doing so, she shows the world a new way to be. A way of grace, clarity, and unshakable presence. So do not mistake her silence for submission. Do not mistake her gentleness for weakness. She is beyond your grasp, because she no longer grasps. She flows like water, touching everything, holding on to nothing. This is not a woman lost to the world. This is a woman who has found herself. When we hear the word detachment, especially in the context of a woman, the modern mind often misinterprets it as being emotionally distant, indifferent, or lacking compassion. But detachment in its true essence is not about pushing life away. It is about being so complete within yourself that nothing from the outside can disturb your inner balance. It is the highest expression of inner strength. A detached woman is not numb. She feels everything, often more deeply than most. But she has reached a point in her inner journey where she no longer lets her emotions overpower her intelligence. She can sit with pain, with joy, with uncertainty, and still remain rooted. This is not suppression. It is clarity. It is not a refusal to love. It is the ability to love without fear, without control, without dependency. Such detachment comes only when one has realized that peace is not something to be found in another, but something to be uncovered within. When a woman begins to operate from that space, her presence becomes magnetic, not because she is trying to impress, but because her stillness offers sanctuary in a world that is noisy and restless. She is not moved by praise, nor shaken by criticism. She may be kind, but she does not bend herself to please. She may be giving, but not at the cost of her own truth. This emotional mastery is not born of harshness. It arises from conscious awareness. It means she has examined the roots of her suffering, her conditioning, her desires, and seen through their illusions. In doing so, she has untied the knots that kept her bound to external approval, and now walks free, not against the world, but not enslaved by it either. Detachment for her is not isolation, it is sovereignty. It is a great misunderstanding to think that a detached woman is incapable of love. In fact, the opposite is true. She is overflowing with love, but it is not the kind of love that seeks to possess or to be possessed. It is not a transactional love born of need or insecurity. It is a love that flows from a deep inner fullness, a love that asks for nothing, a love that gives without losing itself. You see, most people's emotions are compulsive. They fall in love and then fall apart. They become mothers, daughters, wives, lovers, and in doing so they often forget who they are at the core. But a woman who has discovered detachment does not forget. She plays her roles with grace, but she is not confined by them. She is a mother, yes, but she does not live through her children. She may be a partner, but she does not cling to a relationship to feel whole. She can nurture without being consumed, care without being drained. Her love is conscious. It is not reactive. It is responsive. It does not come from fear of being alone or a desire to be validated. It comes because she is already complete within herself, and that makes her love powerful. Because it is not rooted in dependency, it cannot be manipulated. Because it is not born from lack, it does not demand. She no longer seeks to be needed in order to feel worthy. She has shed the conditioning that told her she must sacrifice herself in the name of care. She has learned that real love uplifts, it does not trap, and so a detached woman may walk away from situations where her energy is not honored, not with anger, but with calm. She may say no, not with cruelty, but with clarity. She does not abandon love, she redefines it. Her emotions do not rule her life, they serve it. And in doing so she embodies a higher form of love, one that liberates rather than entangles, one that heals rather than hurts, one that expands rather than contracts. Grace is often mistaken for mere elegance or external beauty, something to be displayed and admired. But true feminine grace is far more profound. It is an inner stillness, a poised presence that speaks without words, moves without force, and impacts without effort. A detached woman carries this grace, not because she seeks attention, but because she has settled into herself. She is no longer in conflict with who she is. This stillness is not passive or lifeless. It is vibrant and awake, like a flame that doesn't flicker in the wind. She does not rush, yet she is never late. She does not speak loudly, yet her voice echoes. Her actions are intentional. Her silence is meaningful. In a world that is constantly busy proving, pleasing and performing, her grace becomes revolutionary. Because in her stillness she sees clearly, and when you see clearly, you move wisely. This kind of awareness allows her to respond rather than react. She does not throw her energy at every passing emotion or situation. She observes, she discerns, she understands when to engage and when to withdraw. She is not easily provoked, because her peace is not built on shallow ground. It is rooted deep within, a peace that is not the absence of chaos, but the ability to remain undisturbed by it. And this is what makes her graceful. She is centered. Her movements are not mechanical, they arise from a deep sense of alignment. Her words do not spill out of anxiety or insecurity. They are spoken with purpose. She does not try to dominate or submit. She simply is. Her presence is a reminder of what it means to live with balance, to move from consciousness rather than compulsion. In this state, her feminine energy becomes alchemical. She doesn't need to control anything around her, because she has mastered herself. This mastery, this grace, is not something learned. It is revealed when all masks fall away, and she stands untouched by the noise of the world, yet fully immersed in the dance of love. From the moment a girl is born, the world begins to tell her who she should be. Be soft, but not too soft. Be strong, but not intimidating. Be successful, but not at the cost of femininity. Be nurturing, but not needy. These are the molds, rigid, outdated, and often contradictory, that society hands down generation after generation. But a detached woman, one who has looked within, who has tasted her inner freedom, no longer fits into these containers. She does not rebel noisily, but she refuses silently. She simply outgrows what no longer serves her truth. She has realized that identity is not something that can be borrowed, imposed, or inherited. It is something to be discovered, uncovered, layer by layer, through awareness, self-inquiry, and presence. She is no longer living according to the narratives written by culture, family, religion, or media. She listens to the quiet voice inside her, the one that speaks not of fear or approval, but of authenticity. And in doing so, she writes her own definition of what it means to be a woman, to be human, to be free. She may not look the part. She may not live as expected. She may not play by the rules of tradition, but her life is not an act of rebellion. It is an act of alignment. She does not seek permission to be herself. She does not shrink to make others comfortable. She does not inflate herself to feel significant. She simply lives as she is, and in doing so, inspires others to question the roles they've been conditioned to accept blindly. This kind of inner authority is unsettling to those who rely on control and conformity. A detached woman cannot be easily manipulated because she does not fear standing alone. She has tasted solitude and found it rich. She does not need the spotlight, yet she shines. She is not defined by titles, roles or relationships. They may be part of her story, but they do not define her essence. And when you meet such a woman, you know she is not pretending to be whole. She is whole. And that wholeness cannot be shaped by the world. It can only be witnessed. In yogic tradition, Shakti is not merely a symbol of feminine energy. It is the dynamic creative power of the universe itself. It is the force that births, sustains and dissolves all things. But Shakti, when unconscious, can become chaotic, emotional, even self-destructive. It is powerful, yes, but directionless without awareness. A detached woman, however, has brought her Shakti into conscious alignment. Her energy is no longer reactive. It is refined, purposeful, and deeply transformative. This woman may appear quiet on the surface, but make no mistake, she is a storm of sacred power moving through stillness. She no longer seeks to control others or prove herself, because she has learned to direct her power inward. She transforms not by imposition, but by her very presence. Wherever she stands, there is clarity. Wherever she walks, something shifts. Not because she forces change, but because her alignment invites it. You see, the power of Shakti in motion is not about domination. It's about transformation. She has faced herself, her fears, her shadows, her attachments, and emerged clear-eyed. Her detachment is not a denial of life. It is an embrace of it, without addiction to outcomes. She acts but is not entangled in the fruits of her actions. She loves, but she does not lose herself in love. She gives, but never from emptiness. And because she is not swayed by drama or disorder, she becomes a stabilizing force for others. People are drawn to her, not for entertainment, but for elevation. She doesn't need to speak much. Her silence teaches. She doesn't need to correct others. Her being corrects the environment. In her presence, truth becomes undeniable. This is the kind of feminine that uplifts the world, not through noise, but through vibration, not through competition, but through conscious presence. She is not the one trying to be powerful. She is power, unshackled and serene. This is Shakti, awakened. And it does not scream, it simply moves, and everything changes. A detached woman is not heartless. She is heart-wise. She does not play with emotions, but she also does not allow emotions to play with her. In a world where many are addicted to conflict, validation, and emotional highs and lows, she chooses something radically different: clarity. She does not stay in patterns just because they are familiar. She does not repeat relationships just to feel needed. She sees the cycles of pain, codependency, silence and suppression, and she consciously steps out of them. She does not engage in unnecessary drama because she understands its cost. Drama thrives on unconsciousness, on reaction, on ego, on the need to be right or to be seen. But she has no need to be right. She only seeks to be real. Her choices are guided not by emotional outbursts, but by quiet understanding. She may love you deeply, but if the connection feeds dysfunction or stagnation, she will walk away, not with bitterness, but with peace. In doing so, she breaks more than just unhealthy relationships. She breaks generational patterns, the expectations that women must endure, tolerate, fix, or sacrifice endlessly no longer hold power over her. She is not cold, she is courageous, because it takes immense courage to choose awareness over attachment, to choose peace over performance, and to choose growth over comfort. Her life becomes a living example of boundaries, rooted in wisdom, not in fear. She doesn't punish or seek revenge. She simply exits what no longer aligns. And that exit itself becomes healing, for it tells others it is okay to choose yourself. It is okay to end something with grace. It is okay to grow beyond what once felt like home. In this way, the detached woman becomes a quiet revolution. She teaches not through confrontation, but through conscious living. She shows that love is not proved by how much pain you can endure, but by how much truth you are willing to live. And that truth sometimes means letting go, not with cruelty, but with compassion, for both herself and others. In a world obsessed with noise, verbal noise, digital noise, emotional noise, a woman who is silent is often misunderstood. But the silence of a detached woman is not emptiness. It is presence. It is not submission. It is sovereignty.